What's up, y'all? In this video I'm going to tell you how I turned down a dream job in sports design. I actually did it more than once, but first let me get into a backstory. So this is going to give away some things, but I grew up an NC State fan because my dad went to NC State, and then me and my brother and my sister all went to NC State as well.
Walking around here in Raleigh, the beautiful weather this week, everybody talking about this game and this team.
So I was a big NC State basketball and football fan. Those are my two favorite sports to watch. So growing up and going through college, I watched NC State basketball and football all the time. Along with that, I kind of adopted an SEC team. Me and my brother liked to choose an SEC team to pull for because NC State was not always in those big games at the end of the year, and it's more fun to watch when you have a team to pull for. So my brother ended up picking Georgia football, and I ended up picking Auburn football. That love for Auburn football grew bigger as I was growing up because Cam Newton went there, and then he ended up going to the Panthers, which the Panthers are my favorite professional team. It all just kind of worked out in a really cool way, but enough about that. Fast forward to college, and I started doing graphic design. When you're in college or you're looking towards the future, you start to wonder what maybe your dream job is or what the peak of your profession looks like. When I was in college working for NC State Athletics, I would have said the peak of my career would be working as a graphic designer or a creative for NC State football or NC State Athletics. So when I was in school, I interned for NC State Athletics. But coming out of school, you obviously can't go straight to your dream job. So I went and did another internship at Wofford College, and then I ended up taking a job at App State football, which I loved.
Bryce takes a big hit, heaves it downfield, hits Williams for a touchdown!
Probably about a year into working with App State football, I was contacted by someone from Boise State football, and they asked me to come there and be their graphic designer. As tempting as that was to be paid more and to do a seemingly better job, I didn't want to move to Boise, and I also knew with more money came more time and more responsibility. I knew I'd be expected to be at more games and in the office more, and between that and moving to Boise, the pay didn't seem enough to take. But before we even sorted that whole thing out, COVID hit, and then that whole plan got ruined anyway. So later on, probably in early 2020, I was contacted by a guy from NC State football, and this was someone I had talked to before when I worked as a recruiting intern there. He didn't even remember me, which is fine, but he had heard my name from other people that knew me from NC State, and they were hiring a director of creative position, so their graphic designer position was their director of creative services for football, and their video position was their assistant director of creative services for football. So he was reaching out to me, asked me to apply for the job, and a year before that I would have said, wow, this is my dream job, of course I'll take it, this is amazing, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened to me. But at that time I had already been getting offers from other schools, some bigger, some smaller, some for more money, some for less, and I was kind of wrapped up all in it, and I knew it was still going to be one of those things where I would be making more money, but I would be doing a lot more work, and I would have more office hours, and I would be expected to be at more events, and I knew that the work-life balance was going to be pretty crazy, and there was definitely a risk of burning out. So I went into it pretty hesitant. I didn't try very hard. I ended up applying for the position, and then nothing came of it after that, which to me was sort of an answer to prayer because I wasn't in love with taking that position anyway, even though prior to that, that would have been an amazing position to me. But a few months after that, I was contacted again by the same guy who was at Boise football. He had moved to Auburn football, and they were rebuilding their creative staff. And when I got this call, I was pretty hyped because even though I was a bigger fan of NC State football, I knew that Auburn football, they're in the SEC, it's big time, they're gonna have more money, and it's just gonna be a crazy experience going there.
Auburn's gonna win the football game!
So I talked to Auburn football for a couple months, but honestly, the whole time I was pretty open with them about wanting to do a freelance remote position. I knew that if I took a director of creative services position that I would have no life and I would be in the office all the time, especially for a big SEC team. I knew it was going to be a lot. I put a minimum price tag on what it would take to get me there, but even that ended up not being enough to get me there. I think my desires deep down was to do freelance work remotely, and not be stuck in a place where I would be working all the time and have burnout due to living somewhere I'm not familiar with and always being in an office, always doing graphic design work. So as cool as the opportunity was, I wasn't willing to basically set my whole life aside to do this job and experience these cool things and make a lot more money than I had been making. So eventually things kind of mellowed out. I think we both realized that our desires were just different, and they ended up hiring a different person to be their director of creative services, and then ended up hiring more team members, and I basically said I wasn't interested in taking that position. So now, about a year later, I finally started my own freelance business, and now I have the ability to work with whoever I want and set my own hours, but that also comes with the uncertainty of not knowing where my work is going to come from and how much I can charge and how much I'm going to be making month to month. But I think for me, that is worth the risk, because for me, the work-life balance is the most important thing. So I say all this to say, find out what's important to you and don't get caught up in the hype of being able to post that new position, because I can assure you, when I was contacted about all these jobs, and there were way more than this, but these two were the biggest in my mind. When I was contacted about these jobs, all I could think was, I can't wait to post something on Twitter saying, hey, I took a position as the director of creative services, blah, blah, blah. And as awesome as that is, and that feeling of how exciting it's gonna be and how cool it's gonna be, for me, I knew that would only last for so long. Different people are different, but I knew for me, the day-to-day life and the day-to-day work and the possible burnout and living in the office all the time and being under the pressure of pumping things out constantly was just not worth the money and the hype and the possible really cool experience, to be honest. So I knew what was important to me. I made a sacrifice. For me, so far, that's been the right decision. But for you, you need to figure out what's most important to you and realize it's not about how it feels, but think about your day-to-day work life, because whatever you decide, whatever path you decide to go down, you're gonna have to wake up every day and go do this job. So you gotta make sure the hours, the people, the place, the type of work you're doing are all things that you can handle and put up with day to day and not get burnt out and really love it for as long as you're gonna be there. Later on, I hope to make a video about the different schools that offered me jobs, or that at least contacted me to apply for jobs, and tell you what they were paying and what I thought was the expected workload, as well as where my skill level was at the time that they contacted me. So let me know in the comments if that sounds interesting to you, and please subscribe if you don't want to miss those future videos, as I plan to do more about the life and decisions of a sports designer, as well as the graphic design tutorials and things like that. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. We'll see you in the next video.